The day humanity reached for the stars should have been a celebration. Earth had finally built its first true interstellar vessel, the U.S. Horizon. Sleek and powerful, it carried Earth's finest diplomats to meet the Galactic Council. Captain Adam Carter stood tall on the bridge, his blue uniform crisp and his expression serious. "Final approach to the Council station," he announced. "Everyone to their positions." Dr. Olivia Mitchell nodded, straightening her formal attire. As Earth's lead scientist and secondary diplomat, she carried the weight of humanity's technological offerings. "The translation software is ready," she said. "We should be able to understand them perfectly." The massive space station loomed before them, a spinning wheel of light and metal that housed representatives from over 200 alien civilizations. The U.S. Horizon docked with surprising ease, guided by the station's automated systems. "Remember," said Adam to his crew, "we're guests here. First impressions matter." The human delegation walked through the airlock into an enormous chamber filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some floated on gas clouds, others moved on multiple legs, and a few seemed to shift form as they conversed. A tall, slender alien with silver skin approached them. "Welcome, humans," it said through the translator. "I am Ambassador Zex of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your species with great interest." Olivia couldn't help but notice the strange tone in the alien's voice. Was that concern? Fear? The formal meetings lasted 3 days. At first, everything seemed peaceful. The human delegation shared Earth's history, scientific achievements, and hopes for cooperation. But during private moments, Adam and Olivia began to notice whispers among the alien representatives. On the third night, unable to sleep, Olivia decided to work in the station's shared scientific library. As she accessed the database, a file accidentally opened. Security protocols on dangerous species containment. Her blood ran cold as she read further. Earth was listed as a Level 9 threat to galactic stability. The document detailed plans to limit human expansion and prevent technological advancement beyond their solar system. She downloaded the files and rushed to Adam's quarters. "They're planning to contain us," she whispered urgently. "They think we're dangerous." Adam's face hardened. "Wake the others. We leave immediately." The U.S. Horizon departed under the pretense of retrieving more materials from Earth. As they cleared the station, 3 alien warships appeared from behind a nearby moon. "They're powering weapons," shouted Lieutenant Jake Summers from the tactical station. "They know we found out." "Evasive maneuvers," Adam ordered. The ship veered sharply as energy beams sliced through space where they had been moments before. The U.S. Horizon was fast, but the alien ships had clearly been waiting. A hit to the engine section sent the humans spinning. Fire erupted on the lower decks. "We can't outrun them," Adam said grimly. "But we can make sure Earth knows what's coming." Olivia worked frantically with Jake to compile all the intelligence they had gathered. As the ship took more hits, they prepared a data packet for transmission. "Ready to transmit," Jake said, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Another blast rocked the ship. The lights flickered. "Send it," Adam commanded. "Send it now." Jake pressed the transmitter. The message shot toward Earth at speeds faster than light, carrying the truth about humanity's place in the galaxy. The final blast tore through the bridge. Adam grabbed Olivia's hand as the ship began to break apart. Back on Earth, the message arrived 3 days later. Military commanders, scientists, and world leaders gathered to watch in horror as Lieutenant Summers' face appeared on screen. "This is our final transmission," he said, coughing through smoke. "The Galactic Council sees us as a threat. They plan to contain us, to keep us trapped in our solar system forever. The U.S. Horizon has been destroyed. But now you know. Now you can prepare. Earth stands alone. But we will not be caged." The transmission ended with the sound of tearing metal. In the silence that followed, humanity realized the stars were not welcoming after all. 3 months after the U.S. Horizon's destruction, Earth had transformed. The once divided nations united under a single purpose: survival. Military bases buzzed with activity. Scientists worked day and night. Everyone knew war was coming. Admiral Natalie Foster stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her gray hair pulled tight in a bun, her face showing the strain of sleepless nights. "The orbital defense platforms are at 80% completion," she reported. "Our fleet has tripled in size, but compared to what we saw in the Horizon's final transmission." She let the thought hang unfinished. Peter Blackwell rose next. Once a quiet physicist, he now led Earth's largest research team. "We've made breakthroughs with the SHIELD technology," he said, projecting images of blue energy barriers. "By studying the data Dr. Mitchell sent, we've created defenses that should withstand their standard weapons." The council nodded with grim satisfaction. Then the alarms sounded. "Incoming transmission," a technician called out. It's from the galactic hegemony." The main screen flickered to life. A creature with 6 eyes and scaled skin appeared. Behind it stood representatives from dozens of alien species. "People of Earth," it began, voice translated to a metallic monotone. "I am High Counselor Drek of the galactic hegemony. Your ship violated our laws by stealing classified information. This confirms our assessment that humans are dangerous and unpredictable." Natalie's hands curled into fists as she listened. "Therefore, we issue this containment order. All human vessels must remain within your solar system. Any attempt to develop faster-than-light technology will be met with immediate military response. A monitoring fleet has been dispatched to enforce this order." The transmission ended abruptly. Peter slammed his hand on the table. "They want to trap us here forever, like animals in a zoo." "How long until their fleet arrives?" Natalie asked. A young officer named Ryan Cooper checked the sensors. "Based on their likely route and speed, 7 days. Maybe 8. The council chamber erupted in urgent conversation. President Diana Wells finally raised her hand for silence. "Admiral Foster, what are our options?" Natalie straightened her uniform. "We fight, or we submit. Those are the only choices they've given us." Diana nodded slowly. "Then prepare for war, Admiral. But also prepare one final peace delegation. If there's even a small chance to avoid bloodshed, we must take it." 6 days later, long-range sensors detected the Xorelian fleet, the hegemony's primary military force, approaching the edge of the solar system. Over 200 warships, each larger than anything Earth had built. On the bridge of Earth's flagship, the Defiant, Natalie watched the alien armada approach. Next to her stood Captain Frank Reeves, commander of the peace delegation ship. "They've established a blockade at the heliopause," Ryan reported from the sensor station. "They're holding position just beyond Pluto's orbit." "It's time," Natalie said quietly to Frank. "Take your ship out. See if they'll listen." Frank nodded, his expression solemn. "And if they don't? Then return immediately, and we show them why they should have feared us after all." As the small, unarmed diplomatic vessel moved toward the blockade, Earth's combined fleet waited in formation around Mars. 500 ships built in a desperate rush, crewed by soldiers who knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. Natalie looked at the determined faces around her on the bridge. Humans had never been good at accepting cages, she thought. These aliens were about to learn that harsh lesson. "All ships, maintain battle readiness," she ordered. "One way or another, this ends today." The peace delegation never reached the Xorelian fleet. Instead, halfway to the blockade, 3 sleek vessels of unknown design intercepted Captain Frank Reeves' ship. "Unknown vessels approaching," his navigator called out. "They're hailing us." Frank tensed, expecting an attack. On screen, to everyone's surprise, the face that appeared was almost human. Pale blue skin, silver eyes, but unmistakably humanoid. "Greetings, Earth vessel. I am Commander Eric Wilson of the Tellurian Rebellion. We need to speak immediately." Frank hesitated only briefly. "Dock with us. But be aware our fleet is watching." An hour later, Eric sat in the ship's conference room explaining the true state of the galaxy. His silver eyes gleamed with intensity. The hegemony rules through fear and suppression. They've contained dozens of species they deemed evolutionary dangers. My people, the Tellurians, have fought them for centuries. Lisa Rodriguez, Earth's chief diplomat, studied the alien carefully. Why help us? What do you gain? Eric smiled. Because you're different. Most species bend when the hegemony threatens. You prepared to fight instead. He projected a star map showing dozens of highlighted systems. These are all worlds under hegemony containment. Many would join you if given the chance. Back on the Defiant, Admiral Foster received Frank's urgent transmission. Admiral, the situation is more complex than we realized. The Tellurians offer alliance, and they're not alone. Over the next 48 hours, as the Xorelian fleet maintained its blockade, 17 different alien ships slipped past them to meet with Earth's leaders. Each represented species oppressed or threatened by the hegemony. Dr. Helen Wright, Earth's leading geneticist, made a startling discovery during these meetings. It's remarkable, she told Admiral Foster, pointing to DNA comparisons. Several of these species share specific genetic markers with humans. These can't be coincidences. What are you saying? Natalie asked. I think humans share ancestors with these species, or perhaps we were all engineered by someone long ago. Either way, we're connected. This revelation changed everything. What had been a desperate last stand became something greater. In the largest hangar of the Defiant, representatives from 22 species gathered. Some breathed different atmospheres and participated via sealed chambers. Others looked so human they could walk unnoticed on Earth. The hegemony has ruled too long, Eric declared. They fear species like ours because we adapt quickly, think creatively, and refuse oppression. Today, we form a new alliance. Lisa stepped forward. On behalf of Earth, we propose the coalition of free worlds. Equal partnership, mutual defense, and a promise. No sentient species will ever again be caged for being different. The agreement was signed within hours. Ships from the gathered species, hidden throughout the solar system, revealed themselves. The Earth fleet suddenly doubled in size. Admiral Foster addressed her expanded command. The Xorelians expect us to surrender or fight a hopeless battle. Instead, we'll show them something they've never seen, a united front of the very species they've tried to suppress. On the bridge, Ryan Cooper detected movement. Admiral, the Xorelian fleet is advancing. They're entering the solar system. Natalie nodded calmly. Signal all coalition vessels. Battle formation Delta. As Earth's ships moved to meet the threat, they were no longer alone. Vessels of countless designs, some organic-looking, others geometric, some barely visible, moved in perfect coordination. Eric stood beside Natalie on the bridge. The hegemony believes your species is dangerous, he said with a slight smile. Let's prove them right. The coalition fleet accelerated toward the invaders, humanity leading the charge toward a war that would change the galaxy forever. The battle for Jupiter began at dawn, Earth time. General Sam Martinez watched from the command deck of the Defiant as the coalition forces took their positions. Jupiter's massive red storm swirled below, a fitting backdrop for the coming conflict. Xorelian fleet has entered Jupiter's orbit, reported Lieutenant Kathy Mills. 87 warships. They've positioned themselves to control access to the inner solar system. Sam nodded grimly. Just as we expected. Are Dr. Phillips' teams in position? Yes, sir. Phase shifters ready on all marked asteroids. The general touched his comlink. All vessels maintain stealth protocols. Remember the plan. We don't have the firepower to match them head-on. The coalition strategy wasn't about brute force. For 3 days, they had prepared Jupiter's moons as their battlefield, placing special devices designed by Dr. Karen Phillips on key asteroids and moons. First wave, begin approach, Sam ordered. 20 small, fast ships broke formation and raced toward the Xorelian blockade. The alien vessels immediately moved to intercept, their weapon systems glowing with energy. "They've taken the bait," Sam said quietly. "Dr. Phillips, you're up." From her position on Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon, Karen activated her equipment. Phase shift initiating in 3, 2, 1. The asteroids her team had modified suddenly rippled and partially vanished from normal space. The Tyrellian sensors could no longer detect them. As the alien fleet moved to engage the decoy ships, the asteroids, each fitted with powerful thrusters, changed course directly toward them. "Impact in 30 seconds, Karen reported. On the Sorelian flagship, alarms suddenly blared. Their sensors finally detected the approaching threats, but too late. The phase-shifting asteroids slammed into 7 of their largest vessels. The explosions lit up space like new stars. "Second wave, move in," Sam commanded. The real attack began. Coalition ships swarmed from behind the moons of Jupiter, weapons firing. Earth vessels led the charge, their newly designed shields glowing as they absorbed enemy fire. Chief Engineer Alan Murphy had retrofitted human ships with technologies from multiple coalition species. The results were ships that could do things no single species had managed alone. "Their formations are breaking," Kathy announced. "They're trying to regroup near Io." Sam smiled for the first time in days. "Precisely where we want them." Alan's voice came through the comm. "General, the gravity lance is ready." This was humanity's secret weapon, a device that could briefly intensify gravitational fields. Alan had designed it using theories from 3 different alien sciences. "Target Io's volcanic region and fire," Sam ordered. The lance activated. On Io's surface, already the most volcanically active body in the solar system, the effect was catastrophic. Massive eruptions burst forth, sending plumes of sulfur and rock high above the surface, directly into the path of the regrouping Sorelian fleet. Ships caught in the debris suffered immediate damage. Their shields, designed for energy weapons, couldn't repel the solid matter. Several vessels lost power and drifted helplessly. Coalition forces close in and captured disabled vessels. Sam commanded, "We want prisoners, not casualties." The battle raged for 6 more hours. The Sorelian fleet, expecting an easy victory against a primitive species, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Earth ships darted between Jupiter's moons, using the natural gravity wells to slingshot into unexpected attack vectors. By the time the Sorelian commander ordered a retreat, 39 of their ships had been captured or destroyed. The remainder fled toward the outer solar system, shields failing and weapons depleted. On the Defiant, exhausted but triumphant, General Martinez received reports from across the battlefield. "Casualties?" he asked quietly. 17 coalition ships lost," Kathy replied. "But we've captured their flagship and 12 other vessels intact." Sam looked out at Jupiter's swirling clouds. "The galactic hegemony has ruled for 1,000 years without a single defeat," he said. "Until today." He activated the fleet-wide communication system. "To all coalition forces, well done. Today we've proven that together, we are unstoppable. But this was only the first battle of many. The real war has just begun." 6 months after the Battle of Jupiter, humanity's war strategy changed completely. The massive Earth fleet disbanded, reforming into hundreds of smaller strike teams scattered across coalition space. Colonel Grace Washington oversaw this transformation from a hidden base on Europa. "The hegemony expects us to defend our home system," she explained to the gathered commanders. "Instead, we take the fight to them, everywhere at once." Grace had developed what she called the Ghost Fleet strategy. Small groups of 5 to 8 ships, mixing Earth vessels with alien allies, would strike hegemony outposts across the galaxy, then vanish before reinforcements arrived. "We can't match their numbers," Grace said, "but we can be everywhere and nowhere. We'll be the ghosts that haunt their empire." On a hegemony mining world 12 light years from Earth, the strategy proved devastating. 3 Earth ships, led by Captain Daniel Gray, appeared suddenly from behind the system's asteroid belt. The mining facilities had minimal defenses. The hegemony never expected attacks so deep in their territory. "All weapons ready," Daniel ordered calmly. "Target their communication arrays first." The Earth ships fired with perfect precision. Within minutes, the outpost was cut off from calling for help. "Now broadcast on all frequencies," Daniel commanded. His communications officer, Jeff Howard, sent the message they'd delivered a dozen times before. "Attention hegemony forces. This facility is now under coalition control. Any workers who wish to leave hegemony service will be granted safe passage. Those who wish to stay will not be harmed if you offer no resistance." To the hegemony's surprise, many workers, often from subjugated species, chose to join the coalition. Each raid not only damaged hegemony infrastructure, but also strengthened coalition forces. Meanwhile, scientist Ben Howard worked with alien allies to improve Earth's technology at a pace that shocked everyone. In his lab beneath Antarctica, he studied captured hegemony vessels. "Their technology is advanced," he told Admiral Foster during an inspection, "but it hasn't evolved in centuries. They've grown complacent." Ben held up what looked like a small crystal sphere. "This is their standard power core. We've already improved its efficiency by 40% by applying principles from Tellurian physics." The improvements proved crucial 3 weeks later, when Colonel Washington's flagship led a daring raid on Proxima Centauri II, a major hegemony military base. "They've spotted us," her tactical officer warned. 6 destroyer-class vessels approaching. Grace smiled confidently. "Activate the modified shields." The pursuing hegemony ships fired their most powerful weapons, beams that would have shattered Earth vessels 6 months earlier. Now the enhanced shields absorbed the energy, glowing brightly but holding firm. "Return fire," Grace ordered. "Show them our improvements." Earth's weapons, once primitive by galactic standards, now cut through hegemony shields with ease. 2 enemy ships exploded immediately. The others retreated in obvious confusion. News of the raid spread quickly through hegemony communication channels. The supposedly primitive humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning. On the hegemony capital world, the council gathered in emergency session. High Counselor Drek faced angry representatives from dozens of worlds. "These humans were supposed to be contained," shouted the Sorelian commander. "Now they raid us everywhere. 3 major worlds have declared independence to join their coalition." "Their technology advances too quickly," added another counselor. "They adapt and improve everything they capture." Drek's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in distress. "Increase military presence on all major worlds. We cannot allow this rebellion to spread." But it was already too late. The coalition's message of freedom resonated with too many oppressed species. Each hegemony defeat inspired more worlds to resist. Back on Europa, Grace received reports from across the galaxy. 23 successful raids, 3 liberated worlds, hundreds of defectors bringing valuable intelligence. "The hegemony is fracturing," she told her officers. "For the first time in 1,000 years, they face an enemy they can't simply crush or contain." She studied the galactic map, where coalition territory grew larger every day. "They wanted to cage humanity," Grace said quietly. "Instead, we've become the key that unlocks every cage they've built." The hegemony capital world, Zarketh, had never been breached in its 1,000-year history. Massive defense platforms orbited the blue-green planet. Sensor arrays detected any approaching vessel larger than a shuttle. The Hegemony Council believed their seat of power was completely secure. They were wrong. Captain John Miller stood in the cramped hold of a captured Hegemony supply ship, surrounded by his infiltration team. 20 humans and 15 aliens from the Coalition's best Special Forces units, all wearing stolen Hegemony uniforms. "Final equipment check," John ordered quietly. "We'll reach their security perimeter in 10 minutes." The plan was impossibly dangerous. Smuggle themselves onto the capital world inside a legitimate supply shipment, then infiltrate the Hegemony central database. Intelligence suggested this database contained secrets that could end the war. Laura Bennett, Earth's best communications specialist, checked her equipment one last time. Her role was crucial. She would need to break into the most secure network in the galaxy. "I still can't believe we're doing this," she whispered to John. He nodded grimly. "Neither will they. That's our advantage." The supply ship passed through security with practiced ease. Its captain, a coalition sympathizer, had made this run dozens of times before. When the cargo was unloaded in a massive warehouse, the infiltration team remained hidden among crates of technical equipment. After nightfall, they emerged. John led them through service corridors mapped from stolen blueprints. Twice they narrowly avoided security patrols. "The central data hub should be 3 levels down," Laura said, consulting her device. "But security will be heaviest there." "We'll split up," John decided. Team 1 creates a distraction in the administrative sector. Team 2, with me and Laura, heads for the data hub. The distraction worked perfectly. A small explosion in an empty office sent security forces running. John's team slipped past reduced guards and reached the data hub entrance. Laura connected her device to the security panel. "The encryption is incredibly complex," she murmured. "Give me 2 minutes." John kept watch, weapon ready. "Make it 1." Laura's fingers flew across her interface. "Got it," she finally said. The doors slid open. Inside, massive crystal columns pulsed with light, the physical manifestation of the hegemony's collected knowledge. Laura immediately went to work, connecting to a terminal while the rest of the team secured the room. "I'm in their network," she said after several tense minutes, searching for information about Earth and the containment protocols. What she found made her gasp. "John, you need to see this." On the screen, ancient text scrolled alongside genetic diagrams. The files dated back thousands of years before the hegemony existed. "It's about humans," Laura explained, reading quickly. "And the Tellurians, and 5 other species they've contained. We were all created." John leaned closer. "Created? By whom?" "By a species called the Architects. They seeded the galaxy with different intelligent species as an experiment. Humans and these other contained races were designed to be adaptable, creative. Weapons. Weapons against what?" Laura's eyes widened as she continued reading. "Against something the Architects feared would return, something from outside the galaxy." Why would the hegemony hide this? Because the Architects disappeared and the early hegemony species found their research. They feared these weapon species might eventually challenge them, so they implemented the containment protocol. They'd been suppressing our development for thousands of years. John's communicator beeped urgently. "Security breach detected," reported his second in command. "We have maybe 10 minutes before the entire complex locks down." "Download everything," John ordered Laura. "We need to get this to Admiral Foster immediately." As alarms began to sound, Laura finished the download. The team fought their way out through increasingly heavy resistance. 3 members fell to hegemony weapons, but the rest reached their emergency extraction point, a maintenance hangar where their stolen ship waited. As they escaped the planet's atmosphere, pursued by hegemony fighters, John stared at the data crystal containing the truth about humanity's origins. "All this time," he said quietly, "they weren't containing us because we were dangerous. They contained us because we were meant to protect the galaxy. And they wanted that power for themselves." Laura nodded grimly. "And now the coalition forces are converging on this system." "The hegemony's time is over," John said. "They've ruled through lies for too long." The new galactic order. The final battle for Zarketh lasted just 2 days. Not because the fighting was brief. It was fierce and desperate. But because Admiral Natalie Foster didn't want destruction. She wanted surrender. "All coalition forces, remember your orders," she broadcast from the bridge of her flagship. "Disable, don't destroy. We're here to end the hegemony, not to become them." When Captain John Miller's ship rejoined the fleet, bringing the stolen data about humanity's origins. Everything changed. Natali immediately transmitted the information to every world in hegemony space, breaking through their communication controls for the first time. "People of the galaxy," she said, her face appearing on screens across thousands of worlds. "For too long, the hegemony has ruled through lies and fear. Today, we reveal the truth." The reaction was immediate. On dozens of worlds, populations rose up against their hegemony overlords. Support for the coalition surged as species learned they had been manipulated for centuries. On the third day, a delegation from the Hegemony Council requested to board the Earth flagship. High Counselor Drek himself, accompanied by representatives from the major hegemony species, arrived under a flag of truce. "You have won, Admiral Foster," Drek said, his 6 eyes downcast. "We offer our surrender." Natali regarded him coolly. "The terms are non-negotiable. The hegemony dissolves immediately. All contained species receive full independence, and a new galactic government forms based on equality, not domination." Drek signed the agreement without argument. In that moment, 1,000 years of hegemony rule ended. 1 month later, representatives from over 300 worlds gathered on Earth, a symbolic choice for the founding of the new galactic government. In a massive hall built specifically for the occasion, Dr. Olivia Mitchell stood before the assembled delegates. Though believed dead after the U.S. Horizon's destruction, she had in fact been captured and imprisoned until coalition forces freed her during the final assault. "We gather today not as conquerors or conquered," she began, "but as equals. The Galactic Charter of Sentient Rights before you enshrines one simple principle: no species may dominate another." The charter passed unanimously. The new Galactic Union formed that day established councils where every world had equal representation, regardless of their technology level or military strength. Admiral Foster, now appointed Earth's representative to the new Security Council, met with Captain Miller and Dr. Mitchell after the ceremony. "The data you recovered explains so much," Olivia said, reviewing the files again. "Humans, Tellurians, and the other weapon species were all created to adapt quickly, to innovate under pressure. The perfect defenders against some ancient threat," John added. Natali frowned. "A threat that never came, or one that's still out there?" Their question was answered sooner than expected. 2 weeks later, long-range sensors detected unusual energy readings from beyond the galaxy's edge. Ancient warning systems, built by the disappeared architects and dormant for millennia, suddenly activated. On the observation deck of Earth's new space station, Natali watched the readings with Dr. Mitchell and Captain Adam Carter, recently promoted after his remarkable return from presumed death. He had been found in a hegemony prison, kept alive as a study subject. "The architects created us for this moment," Adam said quietly. "Whatever they feared is finally arriving." Olivia studied the data carefully. "We should be afraid, but I find I'm not. Look what humanity accomplished when the hegemony tried to contain us. We didn't just break free. We liberated the galaxy." Natali nodded in agreement. "The hegemony feared our potential. They never understood that creativity and adaptability are greater strengths than control and domination." As they watched, ships from dozens of worlds gathered in Earth orbit, the first combined fleet of the new Galactic Union. Once enemies, now allies united by humanity's refusal to accept chains. "We should send a message," Adam suggested, "to whatever's coming from beyond the galaxy." "What would it say?" asked Olivia. Natali smiled, watching Earth's ships fly in formation with vessels of countless designs from across the stars. "The same message we gave the hegemony. This galaxy is protected by those who value freedom above all. We are not confined by fear. We adapt, we overcome, we endure. And we will defend every sentient being's right to exist without domination." Adam nodded. "In other words, we're the cosmic fury they never saw coming." As the first strange signals arrived from the darkness beyond the galaxy, humanity and its allies prepared to face whatever came next, together, free and unafraid. The legacy of the architects. 6 months after the formation of the Galactic Union, the threat from beyond the galaxy revealed itself. Massive ships, unlike any design known to the allied species, emerged from the darkness between stars. They moved with impossible speed, their hulls absorbing all scans. "They're heading directly for the architect ruins in the Cygnus sector," reported Paul Davis, the young navigator on the Union flagship Endeavour. Admiral Foster stood at the command center, surrounded by representatives from 12 different species. All Union defense fleets moved to intercept. "Remember your training. We engage only after attempting communication." Humanity had insisted on this approach, despite objections from former hegemony worlds who preferred to attack first. The Galactic Charter's principles would be tested from the very beginning. The first contact with the extragalactic beings occurred near a dead star system containing ancient architect technology. Dr. Olivia Mitchell led the science team studying the massive structure orbiting a collapsed neutron star. "The energy readings are off the scale," she reported as the alien vessels approached. "I believe the architects built this as some kind of weapon." Before the Union fleet could establish communication, the alien ships fired, not at the defenders, but at the architect structure. Their weapons tore through its outer layers, revealing machinery dormant for millennia. "They're trying to destroy it," Olivia realized. "Stop them." The battle erupted instantly. Union ships moved to protect the ancient weapon, while the invaders, soon identified as the Void Collective, fought with terrifying efficiency. Captain Adam Carter commanded a strike team of smaller vessels. "Their ships have no shields," he reported after the first exchange. "They absorb energy weapons, but physical projectiles pass through." This discovery changed everything. Union ships quickly adapted, loading kinetic weapons and improvising where necessary. On a small scout ship, engineer Steve Winters had an inspiration. "The architects designed us to adapt quickly," he told his crew. "So let's do what we do best." Steve's team modified their engines to create controlled gravitational pulses, similar to Alan Murphy's earlier invention but refined and strengthened. When deployed against the Void Collective vessels, the pulses disrupted their unusual phase-shifted state, making them vulnerable to standard weapons. "All ships implement Engineer Winters' modifications," ordered Admiral Foster. "Target their propulsion systems." The tide turned quickly. Without their main defensive advantage, the Void Collective ships began to retreat. One was captured intact, giving the Union its first chance to study these mysterious invaders. What they found shocked everyone. The Void Collective weren't living beings in any recognizable sense. They were machines, ancient beyond measure, programmed to eliminate the architects and any of their creations. "They're some kind of automated cleaners," Olivia explained at the emergency council meeting. "Left over from a war so old that no living species remembers it." Studies of the architect weapon revealed its purpose: not destruction, but communication. It had been designed to reprogram the Void Collective, to end a conflict that had lasted millions of years. "The architects didn't finish it before they disappeared," Olivia concluded. "They created us hoping we would complete their work if the collective ever returned." 2 weeks later, a combined team of scientists from 7 weapon species activated the modified architect device. The signal spread across the galaxy, reaching every Void Collective ship. Their attacks ceased immediately. In the observatory of the new Union Academy on Earth, Admiral Foster watched stars with Adam Carter and Olivia Mitchell. "The architects created us, then vanished," Adam mused. "Did they die out? Or are they watching from somewhere?" Olivia smiled. "Perhaps someday we'll find them. But I think they'd be proud of what we've built." Natalie nodded in agreement. "They made us to defend the galaxy. Instead, we united it." Below them, the first class of the Galactic Union Academy. Young officers from hundreds of worlds, trained together. Former enemies learned from each other, sharing knowledge that had been hoarded for centuries. "This is humanity's true legacy," Natalie said quietly. "Not fury, but fellowship. Not just the will to fight, but the wisdom to build peace. As night fell over Earth, lights from ships of every design twinkled in orbit, a constellation of cooperation that would shine long after the founders of the Union were gone.